YouTube.
Hi. This is
Ace.
This is Aaron and Tammy with A Sold Out Marriage.
That's right.
We're coming to you today with a video. We're videoing outside because we've been aching to for months now.
Yep.
Because I think neither of us like to be inside very much. So hopefully we'll have a lot of these videos outside.
Yeah, we like it outside.
But today we're gonna announce, I guess officially announce, even though it's been out for a while, the book that we wrote. We've been premising and previewing and talking about it for so long. You're probably sick of hearing us talk about it, but we're gonna finally do a video about it. And to talk about it, I'm gonna let Tammy take it away.
All right, thank you. So, we wrote a book. Yeah, we've mentioned it before, but we're gonna show it off. Here's the book.
It is.
Yep. And I don't know, can you even flip through it or not really? Here.
Well, I will, but
okay.
I'm just gonna say, take a screenshot of it, because when you look for it on Amazon,
yep,
you've got to type in the. You have to type in
the whole thing.
The whole thing.
The beginning of a journey to a sold-out marriage.
We'll flip through it real quick, but it's kind of a photo book and chapters basically talking about how these words and these photos have affected us in our marriage.
Yep. And
beautiful photos photographed by Tammy.
Oh, thanks.
Graphic design
by Aaron.
I did, and the book that we did together.
Yes, and then let's just include Tony and Elisa De Lorenzo for the inspiration. So we're gonna just tell you, we're gonna try to do it in kind of our typical timeline here of about 10 minutes or less. So we're gonna tell you about this book. So first of all, Aaron and I, our whole story is in the book. So we're not gonna tell you all about that today, but what I do want to tell you is that at one point we really needed to find something that was going to help us to make our marriage extraordinary, and we came across the podcast One Extraordinary Marriage. Tony and Elisa De Lorenzo, go check them out, podcast or their internet site. But ultimately,
and it's called One Extraordinary Marriage.
Yes, it is. And you know, we for the last 6 years we've been listening, and we have learned just so much in our marriage. We've been given tools that we've never had before, and in all of that time we've just I mean really, we went from maybe not a great marriage to a better marriage
from so-so to almost bad marriage.
Yeah, it's true. To now, I would say an extraordinary marriage, but for us it became a sold-out marriage. And here's why. When we were writing this book, or when we decided to write a book, the whole point and reason behind it was that we wanted to do for others what Tony and Elisa had done for us, which was they were transparent and shared their life. And it kept us from being in a place of isolation where we realized that we weren't alone. We weren't alone in all the issues that we had been dealing with. And so we decided that we were going to write a book so that we could get that out there and hopefully help even just one other couple with that same piece that they might be missing, where they just think that they're alone, but they're not. To talk about the structure of the book, I think is really important. So the structure of the book is basically, it's telling our story, but as we had begun our ministry, I had been taking photos, and I love landscape photography.
This is even before we started a ministry. This is before we even thought of a ministry.
That's true.
This is before we actually had a marriage that was
It's true. It's true.
that was workable.
Yeah.
And anyways, can I just chime in for a second?
Yeah, please do.
It was really cool because she decided she was going to walk to work, and that's a long walk for the job that she had at the time. And 2.5 hours, 3 hours, I don't know, just depends on the day.
Yeah, that's true. 6 miles one way, yeah.
And so she took up some of the time taking photographs. She took up a lot of the rest of the time listening to a podcast called One Extraordinary Marriage that really helped transform our lives and our marriage. And somehow, I guess out of a word that I can't think of right now, the two came together.
Yeah.
Your photography, the podcast, the wise words, not necessarily meant to be wise, but things that just stuck out.
Yeah.
That really affected what we were going through at the time.
Yeah, the reason why we started putting words to the images was that during those walks I would get to work and I would have had something that God would have shown me, something that I needed to work on myself, something that we needed to work on together, but then I would get to work and I would forget, we'd get home, life would make us busy, and then I wouldn't think about it again. And I was tired of that, so I started taking those words and putting them on the images. But my husband is a graphic artist, so I might be able to take photos really well, but I can't do the design part. So he started doing that, and we came up with a ministry of images to take Tony and Elisa's wisdom, take what God was highlighting for us, and put them on something that was media driven to be able to share with people, share with couples, and basically share and get the word out about the podcast and about those really important words of wisdom.
I think the biggest encouraging thing that came from that started us down this path to actually making this book, was that Elisa and Tony, I can't remember, you told me one time, but they actually saw her image once or a couple times and asked for her to make those and to be kind of an ambassador for what they've been doing. At the time, they'd only been doing the podcast, well, they've been doing it for a while, probably
like
4 years.
3 years, yeah, something
3 or
like
4
that.
years.
Yeah.
And they were still on the kind of on the upswing of building what they do now full time. And so out of that grew a relationship with the Tony and Elisa, who are the podcasters.
Yes, our dear friends at this point.
And so I guess because we had been affected so much, we wanted to pay it forward in a way by creating this book, by using what we had, because we didn't have any inkling to try to do a podcast, although we're doing videos now, but I guess it's where we're at now. So they really were an inspiration to help us go down this path to start making this book.
Yeah. Our marriage has been radically transformed. We're not the same people that we were even 4, 5, 6 years ago, and I am so proud of who we have become. And I do want to talk about the title of the book. It started out, we titled it The Beginning of a Journey, because that's where it all started, right? We had this time in our life where we had to make a choice, and we were going down that path, and we started on a new journey in our life of learning and growing and becoming extraordinary. And so the title of the book was The Beginning of a Journey, and towards the end of the book, I think it was about the end of the book, I had listened to a song called Sold Out, and it is by Hawk Nelson. Go listen to it. It's such a good song. And when I was listening to it, it is about being sold out for God. But all of a sudden, I felt like I had this just inspiration from God that we suddenly had the name of our own ministry. Our images are still called Onespiration. You'll see that on media, social media. You'll see Onespiration because we're inspired by one extraordinary marriage. But God gave us our own name for our ministry. As I listened to that song, it talked about just being completely sold out. And almost the entire song, it just penetrated just to a level of being like, wow, that's what we are. That's what this is about. We're sold out for our marriage, but we're also sold out for yours. Yours being, if you're listening to this video, yours being if you're in our church, if you're in C3, if you're a church all the way across the world, your marriage being if you pick up this book. So we've just come to, I'm really excited about what God's doing for our ministry. It's going to be big. And we're just so excited to partner with One Extraordinary Marriage in being able to deliver tools and just inspiration to be able to help couples and, impacting even just one. So, gosh, anything to add?
I just wanted to add in there. Okay, so Tammy and we both talked a lot about where we came from, how this book came about, and I got to say we get a lot of comments with dealing with our ministry, talking about our book, people just think, oh, you guys must have the most amazing marriage, and we do.
We do.
But I think the point is, we even say in the book that we haven't even arrived yet.
That's why it's called The Beginning.
Yeah. Well, see, and I think that's what we want to make sure that you guys understand. If we hadn't started down this path, we'd be in, who knows?
Who knows?
But we wouldn't be in as good a spot as we're in now.
No.
So if it feels overwhelming, if you're in a place where you think your marriage is on the rocks, your marriage is just in a rough spot, or your marriage is close to being over, or wherever you're at, start taking a step down the path like we did.
Yeah.
Get the book, listen to a podcast, do something, because you don't know where you're going to end up in 6 months or a year or 5 years.
Yeah.
Because if you don't start doing something, time's going to keep going by, and you're still going to be somewhere. I guess the question is, would you rather be in a better place or in a worse place?
Yeah.
So we just really want you to understand our heart in this. Like, do something. Start going somewhere. Start taking a step down the path. And if you want to start with this book, get the book. You can get it on Amazon, and like we said, just type out the full name and you'll find it. I think that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, no, that's good. So check out the book. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel too. And
like the video, share it.
Yep.
Look at our Instagram. Look at our Facebook.
Yeah.
A sold out marriage. The Instagram is Onespiration.
Yep. Yeah.
If you want to contact us with any questions, it is
at asoldoutmarriage@gmail.com. And actually, just so you all know, and it is true, that our images on Instagram, it was under Onespiration, but it is actually under A Sold Out Marriage now. Okay. I combined those two, but check us out there, or if you have questions, just email us. I can give you all the links. I can give you whatever you need there. Link to the book if you can't find it. So just email us if you need anything. But otherwise, yeah, just keep.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe and click notifications if you want to know when we make these videos.
Oh, and if you live in Salt Lake City, come to our very first date night that we're hosting at NCC, New Creation Church
in Sandy, Utah.
Yep. It's going to be on April 5th at 6 p.m. We are going to watch The Greatest Showman, and we did a video on that, so go check that video out. Otherwise, have a good weekend. We love you. Goodbye.
Bye.